in that cold blood.
Yeah, as a trained soldier, you would expect that you could have shielded him in the front seat. So, and if the bullets, depending on where the shooters, but when you look at the vehicle, it is likely that the bullets were coming from the front. So it is likely that he took shelter in one of the persons who were shot from in front, and maybe that is how he survived. But it's unfortunate, because losing a child and losing a driver at that, you know, that remains with you for the rest of your life. So I guess it's going to affect him psychologically and emotionally for quite some time, but thank God that at least he is alive.
What could explain this happening at such a time? Is it speculation for cabinet you kind of talked about? These had actually stopped because at times here, when shooting senior persons or important people in the country was actually at the order of the day. But we had actually moved over to another phase, and we just connect from that. What do you think can actually explain this? Shooting at a general's car with all those so many bullets in broad daylight like it is?
Maybe the shooters could also have underestimated the capacity of the person they were attacking, and I think the general himself also was not aware, didn't expect, like any of us, of course, couldn't expect that there could be an attack on his vehicle and himself. Otherwise, if he knew that, he could, if there was a chance for him responding with fire also, I think would have expected that even the attackers could have also been humbled. But I think he was not given that opportunity. But at the same time, when you look at the possible motive for the attack, I don't think it is to do with his being in cabinet or not, because up to now, no one knows who is going to be in the cabinet, and if any knew, then there are very few who can know. And his elimination will not automatically qualify you to be there, unless you are highly and strategically placed, that you know the dais.
He's the only one in front of you.
Exactly. So you need to have someone who is highly placed to be able to do that, knowing that this mathematics can work well if this one is removed. But at the same time, someone can do that to cause a diversion. And of course, the other common theory people will be looking at the issues at the airline. That because as a minister, he had caused a lot of
changes.
At the airline. And one would now say that I think that is where these problems are coming from. But someone also could use that as a diversion to push his own agenda.
Yeah, because people have been interdicted before, people have been sacked, people have been terminated. Right. Yes, exactly. It's
so someone could also use that as a diversion, to say that if we did this today, a lot of focus will be on his work at the office, and maybe this will take long to be followed up. But of course, I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks we'll be knowing the whole scenario, what could have happened, and I think someone will come up with the story. But you know, this guy has been very successful wherever he has been in his deployments. I think that's the car which was riddled with bullets. We may not have the clear view of it, but I think we'll get more pictures.
That's him now. That's him walking out, and I think, well, you just don't know how it could happen. But thankfully to God that there he is. You can see.
The guy is just walking out.
General Katumba Wamala has actually walked out. But you can imagine the pain he's actually undergoing if the daughter is really shot dead and the driver is also dead. Then you can know. And this could have been a job of one person, shooting at the car in all angles like that. So it really just sends you wondering and asking yourself what really has happened and what maybe somebody can actually, I don't know. But we live in a very politicized society, that this now cannot go without politics, and lots of political hullabaloo is going to come from this now.
Unfortunately, in such a situation, and which normally happens, when you are an investigator in such a case, then even the survivor himself is supposed to be investigated as a designated survivor. How do you survive in such a situation? I mean, also becomes an issue until all areas are looked at to find out that actually this was a problem from elsewhere. But we thank God for him, at least he walked out. And we can see, of course, with shock, but he's safe. Now, like you said, this could have been a case of one person trying to either make a statement or trying to solve an underlying story. But when you also look at the person of Wamala, you know, he's not a controversial guy.
Exactly.
Like other politicians. In fact, some people think he's, yeah, you can look at the pictures that he's a...
That's him, and it seems some bullets actually touch his body. We don't know. We really don't know,
we're yet to know exactly what happened.
But that's him now.
But from the rear of the car, you would suspect that I think the shooting could have been from the front, because this part of the rear of the car and doesn't have
there are also other pictures of the screen. I think the principal window, because I think
I can see this
had really targeted that they were possibly targeting to shoot at it's amazing, and it's very shocking. When Andrew Felix Kawes, now the late, was shot at, he was also in his official police car that you would imagine and say, you know, General Katumba is driving his duty car, as I think he normally does, and then moves out like that. So you just can't even tell the intention of you were saying that General Katumba is not one of those controversial persons that we actually know, that he's not a man that you will hear about in lots of scandals and controversies here and there. So well, I think it's going to send so many heads rolling to try and ascertain why he had actually been a target of this very bad-hearted Ugandans, if they're even Ugandans.
And you know, he is not, other than being not controversial as such, he is a sober guy. In fact, some people have been saying, what is this? What are you doing? I've been telling him, and last time I shared it with him, and I also said, what are you doing in politics? It is like, you know, he has other things that he can do outside the political arena. And I think many people have been asking him to go into elective politics from his constituencies, and he said, but I'm serving. I don't need to go in the campaigns to be elected so that I can serve Uganda. I'm also serving, and I'm also comfortable that I'm at least serving Ugandans. So I think is that kind, down to earth, but of course you don't need to be a bad person to have enemies, or you don't need to be a controversial person to have enemies. Enemies will be enemies, even when you least expect them. So I think that is the type of a person we are looking at, and thank God, at least he will have a story to tell. Unlike the Felix Kawesas, and for him at least he will be able to tell Ugandans what exactly what happened and what could have been the reason for the attack on his life.
Well, news coming into to us is that he's been evacuated to Nakasero Hospital just there, and but we're still very grateful to God that he is actually alive. He's alive, and like you said, he will be able to tell the story, to tell the story if there was actually anything that maybe he suspects or so. So we just think that God has given him another lease of life and another good chance, and so he's being evacuated to Nakasero Hospital. And of course, looking at General Katumba Wamala and this thing actually happening at such a time. Now, you remember that the late Colonel Abiriga was actually shot in this month. He was shot in this month, I think, on the 7th or 8th, just a day to Heroes Day in 2018. And it was at a time when I think he had just made a State of the Nation address, and the president talked about him and that yellow man. Then, by the time we came back to read the budget, this man had actually gone. Quite a number of things. But looking at such a thing happening now, when we are just at the beginning of another Chisanja, we were just beginning another term, and cabinet is not yet there, not been appointed, not been sworn in. And so this keeps us asking questions and wondering if we start a term like this, what is in stock for us over some of these things, because you do not actually know what to say and what not to say.
Yeah, it's also possible that there are times when people would want to discredit the system to show, look, the system is not, after all, government is not in control. If a person of that type can be attacked, then what about you, the local person, the ordinary person? Yeah, of course, sometimes there also comes a time when people strategically want to do that to discredit the system. And also, of course, they will say, I mean, people have been shot at, people have been killed, and investigations are not even conclusive. So in trying to discredit the system, but I think that would also be a wrong impression, because it can take years. It can take a number of years, months, but still the truth comes out, and the culprits will definitely be known. They may not be known today, they may not be known tomorrow, but definitely they will be known. So I think, and the President himself, for example, has been very clear on that. The system, the movement has not been known for assassinations, for attacks on, not even those who are opposed to them. But that can also be used against it. But of course, there are a number of deaths that have occurred in this country, and people have tried to connect them to the sitting government. But of course, it has come out to be unsubstantiated. So I think what is going to happen is that a few days later on, weeks, we shall come to know the truth of exactly what happened. And the good thing, when you look at that neighborhood where the vehicle was shot at, there are cameras. So I think, and of course, connecting to the roads, and this information is not going to be hidden for a long time. The vehicles, if these people came in vehicles, they will be known. If they came on borders, it will be known. So I think we shall have some information by the end of today or by the end of the week. So maybe I'm confident that the truth will come out and the culprits will be found.
Okay. Well, it's a very worrying situation, and there is not much information about what has actually happened to General Katumba Wamala, and we are very mindful not to speculate anything. Like we're saying, it's just something that has happened this morning, and General Katumba Wamala has not been sick, that he's been in hospital, that we visited him, so this is what is happening. But we're only just very grateful to God that Katumba Wamala is actually alive. But like we said, we just watching and following the developing story to be able to know. We know that much time later, we'll of course hear from the UPDF spokesperson and all the others, because the place is now cordoned off, and I am very sure that, like you said, cordoning off the place and getting the primaries or the preliminary evidences therein that they can find. Thankfully to God also is that this is actually happening at a time when we have cameras almost in every suburb of this town or city. So we're very sure that the same cameras that have helped the police in solving much of these problems. When Biriga died, I think we didn't have the cameras. When Kawesi died, we didn't have the cameras. When
Yeah.
all the Muslim clerics died, we also didn't have the cameras when they're being shot at. So we are very sure that because it has actually happened in the morning and then during broad daylight, we wait to see and of course to hear from what is coming from the authorities. We do not want to speculate. We do not want to say things that have actually yet happened. But we have reporters who went to the scene of crime. So we're very sure that they will gather something there, which will be good to inform our people. Now, that's the car, of course, as you can see it, with quite a number of bullets in there. You can just imagine. It was really intended to kill kill for good, you know, because just look at how bullets have rained onto that. And it's just at this one side now, the idea is because this is the principal window, the principal seat. So whoever did what they did, I think they were targeting that here is where the man is. And look at those bullets actually that have run into his car. You can't even explain how he survived. You can't even say that this is the reason why we think he has actually survived. And I think that's a picture. Doesn't look very
No,
clear,
I think
but it's a picture of somebody, some lady or daughter or girl. But there's a picture of it's a corpse, a dead body lying into the car from actually the picture that you've seen in there. That's him actually now. I think he was looking into, looking into. Look at, of course, just talk about the car itself, but you can also see, also shot from behind, and looking also from where the body is, in the, you can imagine that these are some of the bullets in here that ran in through the rear window or the rear glass there to see. But General Katumba Wamala is alive. That's what is most important. We're praying for him. And I think the best thing that the rest of us, especially who love him, who wish him well, the best we can do is to actually pray for him. For, like you said, emotional strength, they're in trauma. There's so many things now that could be running in his head, running in his mind, waking up on a very fresh day of the month. Exactly. And this is how you start a month like this. Very sorry, and of course very, very shocking that we are short of words of what is really happening.
Well, sorry to the viewers, because some of the pictures are really graphic. They don't really look in a good taste. But that is what was shown. But I think the subsequent ones will try to, as much as possible, to avoid that. But you're also looking at the type of crime. Now, I think government also needs to up the game, because these criminals were living with them, and these criminals are coming from somewhere to go and commit this crime, and these crimes are being committed by Ugandans, by the people we know. So I think there also need to be an equal measure, that because sometimes the criminals know that people are busy concentrating on other things, and then they take that gap. Like now, people know. I think today the president is supposed to address on the COVID. We're also expecting a cabinet anytime, and so people are like, are we going to have a lockdown again? Oh no, who is going to come? But for me, I'm sure that with now the technology that we have, it is going to be very hard for a person to commit a crime and go like as business has been. No, I think it's going to be a lot, and especially at this level, where you are not only trying to discredit the government, but also you are trying to make everyone look so vulnerable. I mean, if a person of that kind can be attacked, then you are sending a message that anyone can be attacked. So I think the government is not going to sit down on that, and I'm sure the culprits are going to be brought to book. I know this is what my colleagues in the police and army are going to be saying, but not for the sake of saying that this actually someone will be brought to book.
Thank you so much, Mututa. I think we'll just stop this here for a while and let you know that the newsroom is, of course, following up the story and compiling, and of course, to get the details. We very well know that from when this incident happened, for now, the past a couple of minutes, or even possibly hours, there could be some statements already from the authorities. We just promised that newsroom is developing this story and will come. Let's continue praying for General Katumba Wamala, wherever he is in Nakasero Hospital, for a quick recovery, and of course also not stop thanking God for that